Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Sorry about the live stream freezing. That's something that's out of my control. There was a frantic panic trying to get it to restart again, but didn't manage it. Quite honestly, if I'd followed what I'd said at the beginning of the live stream and shut everything down and started it again, I could have got it going within a minute or two. And I'll remember that if it happens again. So if I'm doing a live stream in the future and it freezes, stick around because I will be able to get it going again. It's just a matter of shutting down the software, turning the camera off and unplugging it from the laptop, and then just going back through the sequence and starting a new stream, which should take between a minute and 2 minutes maximum. So I should be able to get back online quite quickly. I think I've found a possible reason why it's freezing. There's a setting on there that allows you, the viewers, to scroll back. So if you joined it part way through, you can scroll back and start watching the video from an earlier point. Now that's going to use a lot of memory and possibly bandwidth. So if I shut that down and remove that option, it might actually stay in there and hang in. No guarantees, and I will try and do a test on that. I'm going to have to set up a dummy channel so that I can test things, because obviously I can test all the software and settings and everything, but I can't test the comments bit. If you see what I mean. I need some comments coming in from another channel, but I'll just set up a dummy channel to work around that, and then I'll see if taking that setting off actually makes a difference and everything else is still working fine. So I'll give that a try at some point. These are the questions from the comments that carried on after the video froze. And I especially like the comments about the point that it froze. Some people said I was casting a spell on my orchids. It does look a little bit wizard-like, I suppose. Anyway, questions. Should Shelob Tolkien get a winter rest? Simple answer, no. No oncidiums need a winter rest in the true definition, but many oncidiums, when they finish blooming, will take a short break from doing anything. They'll just sit there doing nothing for a while. So they're not actively growing new spikes, they're not growing new growths yet, those will start later, and they're not growing any new roots, so they're on hold, and at that point they ought to dry out in between watering. And you can cut right down on the feed because they're not going to use it. Once they start producing their new growths, then you can get back to, you know, your normal sort of processes. So no winter rest for oncidium types as such. Should I cut Vanda spikes off after they've bloomed? If you leave them there, they will eventually die back. As far as I know, there's no chance of a Vanda spike producing a branch and carrying on like, say, a Phalaenopsis might. Yeah. For the sake of tidiness, yes, you can cut them off somewhere back near the stem. If you can make the cut just inside the base of the leaf so that it can't be seen from, you know, the general view, it looks tidier. But I always cut mine off. Anyway, that's that. Are black hair types dendrobiums high light? I would say no. I'd class them as medium light. Most of those come from tropical rainforests, not deciduous forests. So they, unless they get some streaks of light through the tree canopy, they wouldn't be in high light under normal circumstances. I mean, there might be some that grow on the edges of clearings that get brighter light, but generally speaking, tropical rainforests don't need the real high light values that some of those get in the deciduous forests, you know, when the leaves fall. So that's that. What's my thoughts on the traditional way of potting a Neofinetia falcata? Well, I have got one, if I can get to it. It's probably going to show a bit dark, but yeah, I did try one on the mound. Inside that moss ball is one of those tiny little plastic mesh pots, open mesh pots, upside down, which was then covered in moss. Then the roots of the Neo and the plant were placed on top, and then more moss was wrapped around the outside of the roots. And in my case, I didn't have the really long strand moss, so I had to tie that with fishing line to hold the moss in place. So yeah, I have done one. Seems to be doing okay. It's grown an awful lot of roots this year, some of which have gone down the outside of the moss and some have gone down the inside. So yeah. Have I tested the runoff for my normal pots? I did that quite a while ago, and given the results of the runoff water from the holy clay pots, I'm pretty confident that they're going to come into the same sort of category, especially those that stay moist all the time. But like my shadier, cooler types, the Restrepias, Masdevallias, Draculas and things like that, they don't get fed much, and they don't get fed that often. They get flushed more often than they get fed. So I don't think there would be any build-up of salts in those pots, even though there's a drop in pH if it's pure moss, which we've already discussed. But the other pots that are in sort of bark and moss, there could well be a bit of build-up in there. And once I've sorted out a way of giving pots a really good soak, you know, found some sort of bath to soak lots of pots at the same time in clean water, and then pour more clean water through the pot after they've had their soak, I think I'll resolve my issues basically. Quite honestly, the build-up wasn't dangerously high for Cattleyas, but it could be for some of the things like Miltoniopsis. But then they get low levels of feed and don't get fed anywhere near as often. So, you know, the build-up couldn't possibly be that much because there's not that much going in, if you see what I mean. The other thing I did chat about was Cuthbertsonii. Somebody asked about that. I saw it in the comments, and I was merrily talking away and holding the plant up, but obviously the picture had frozen. Cuthbertsonii is a montane forest grower. It's an unusual dendrobium because it comes from cool, very, very moist forests. So it's not one that would like to dry out for any length of time. Montane forests are funny because if you think of mist and fog, most people's mindset would think of still air. You know, when it's misty and foggy, the air just hangs, doesn't it? Not in a montane forest. It's always moving. What you've effectively got is moist, warm air coming in off the coast with the prevailing winds, and suddenly there's these mountains in the way. With forests all up the edges, you know, and up the valleys and things. And as that warm air climbs to get pushed over the top of the mountains, the water in there gets to saturation point and turns to mist and fog. It's not stationary by any means. That airflow continues right up over the top of the mountains. And it's like a continuous process. So airflow is incredibly important for those types of plants. It's not still air. Hello, the workmen are fired up, so that'll have to do for today. Anyway, thanks for all joining in with the live stream. Thoroughly enjoyable. I wish it had hung in there, you know, and carried on. But I'll do more. I enjoy them, and it looks like people watching enjoy them, and you know, the interaction with the comments of the people watching, you know, where I'm just excluded and carry on talking amongst myself. I like them. They're good fun. They are a bit fiddly to set up, but it's no big deal. It really isn't. And once you've done something, you just repeat the process. But if I get a freeze again, I should be able to get back online within a minute or two. So, you know, if that ever happens again, just hang in there. And I'll just shut the system down, basically, and restart it, which will start a brand new video, obviously. So you would then have to go and watch the new video as it starts, if you see what I mean. You know, I've got no control over that, but it would start effectively a new video from scratch. So you'd have to switch videos. And the only thing I'd be able to do, because obviously if the one you were watching is frozen, I can quickly type a comment in saying what I'm going to do and give everybody a warning shot that they'll need to look out for the new video when it starts. So this is manageable. That's if I can't get round the problem in another way, which I'll work on. Anyway, thanks for joining in. It was good fun, and I'm pretty sure the people watching enjoyed themselves. From my end, it does get a bit frantic. The old comments fly past at a rate of knots. It's very difficult to see every comment, say hello to every individual as they join in. It's not possible. So a big hello for everybody, and a goodbye and apologies for the freezing. That was out of my control. Okay, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.